And then I'll share with you quickly. We just want to keep this kind of brief because we're recording it.
Okay.
And so, you know, I think some people said, like, do you have like one story of maybe an employee that might be really beneficial for people to hear, such as like how they've improved their lives, or something that's just really made you smile about just the jobs that you've created?
Okay.
And, you know, we'll keep it very casual. And then I'm hoping you can mention, oh, good. It's good to see so many people coming on. We'll wait and let people come and join now, which is great. And we'll keep this very casual. So if other people have questions, we can stop and have them join and ask. But yes, I think a lot of people have holiday vacations, so we're recording it so that we can share it out after.
Okay.
Let me make sure my notifications here are just off. Oh. Let me see. All right, great.
While we're waiting, Becky, would it make sense for Charlotte to say a little bit more about herself? I know a lot of our audience has already heard a bit about you, Charlotte, but I know I loved getting to know you when I met you in Kenya and hearing you tell your own story. So
I think that's a wonderful idea. I think we can get started, and I think other people will start to join. I see some people jumping on now. So
Okay, Nikki.
Can you introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. My name is Charlot Magayi. I'm from Kenya, and I run a social enterprise that's called Mukuru Kwa Njenga. And what we do is we work with women as artisans and local women business owners who sell our stoves. So they are our sales agents. And we've been doing this since 2017, and recently partnered with, well, not recently, it's been a minute, but we partner with the Adventure Project to help create more jobs for local women in Western Kenya.
Perfect. And, you know, just to catch us up, or how, I'm curious if you can just shed light too on a little bit of how things have been going this year or since COVID. What changes have you seen, both, you know, challenges, but then also, you know, I know demand for your stoves has increased. So could you maybe, you know, touch on that as well?
Yes, thanks, Becky. So since 2020, really, because that's when COVID started, we saw in the beginning a drop in sales for cook stoves, mainly because people had to close up shop and just stay home to ensure that everyone was safe. But then because the demographic that we work with is mostly people who don't earn a lot of money, they live from hand to mouth. So after a few weeks, they had to come back to start, you know, open up their businesses to earn money, to provide the basics like food for their children. And so that, coupled with the fact that COVID is, you know, an illness that affects your respiratory system, people wanted to purchase stoves to ensure that they were not inhaling too much smoke. So we saw a rise in sales also because the men who most of the time are the breadwinners were staying home and seeing their families really struggle with the smoke when they use open fires in rural areas. And they were recognizing also the fact that their families needed better stoves. So that helped us increase our sales. It helped with us just having space and in local radio stations to be able to market our stoves and educate our communities on the benefits of having this clean cook stoves in their homes, just to help, you know, with their families' health. And so that really helped us. And so far we've sold over 40,000 clean cook stoves in 2021 alone, with the projection to sell about 70,000 this coming year. And so we're really excited about that.
Yeah, no,
Thanks, Eric.
congratulations. And I think that's what I kind of laugh about that, but it's almost like men staying home and not going to work drastically increased your sales because they were seeing what their wives were having to deal with, and they were breathing the same smoke and realizing what a huge problem it was. And so that is almost, you know, one of the blessings of the pandemic, is being able to recognize that, you know, men were having empathy for what their wives were doing. I find that really fascinating. So I also just want to commend you on just how many stoves that you've been able to produce so far. And I know you do that with hundreds of, you know, you have artisans, but then also women in the communities. I'm curious if you can share a little bit, maybe, you know, one story or have something interesting about how creating jobs for you has really affected you, but then also affected the people you're hiring.
I think the most, I guess, outstanding thing that has happened for Mukuru, the most notable thing with the women who sell our stoves is, well, the business is called Mukuru after the slum that I grew up in, and which is also where we started our business really, really small. But there was this lady in 2021 who lost her husband, and she called Mukuru to find out if she could get a job with us, and she was living in Mukuru slum. And so we had to explain that we've moved most of our operations to, you know, Western Kenya, because that's where the greater need is. And it just so happened that she is, you know, from one of the regions where we work in Western Kenya, and she was able to come home. She lived with like a sister-in-law for a while. She sold our stoves, just walking home to home, getting one stove, being able to sell that, coming back for more. And with that, she was able to, you know, build a garage thatched house, still a house, but for her family, move her children and herself out of her sister-in-law's house and set up a small shop. So she's not just a local women business owner, but she exclusively sells Mukuru clean stoves, and that has enabled her to be able to provide food for her children. She still hasn't been able to get them back to go to school because she's not able to afford most of that, but at least she can provide, you know, housing, and she can provide food for her children. And that is the most beautiful impact that I would say Mukuru has had on an individual in 2021.
That's so powerful. And congratulations. I just think that I love that story, and I'm so grateful that you were able to hire her and help. And for those who have joined the call, you know, most of everyone on this call is supporters of you in some way. And so I think it warms our hearts to know that you're rippling to serve so many people and help so many people in need. That's phenomenal. Some people with your story, you know, we blogged about your story last week and got an incredible response, and people were really inspired and empowered by what you've been doing. Some have asked how your daughter is doing. You know, in the story, it touched on how years ago, you know, your inspiration for starting Mukuru started because, you know, she had a fall into your fire while you were cooking. And so some were just wondering how she's doing.
I'm happy to give an update on that. She turned 11 last month. She is almost my height. We wear the same shoe size. She texts way too much. She's very smart to go to Oxford University when she grows up, but generally she's doing okay. Like I think some part of our lives are a bit of a blur to her, because she doesn't remember that part except when she sees pictures and stuff. But she's doing really well. She's very smart, and I was just in this competition, and they secretly contacted my daughter to send me an encouraging note when I was going in to do my final pitch. And I was wondering, like, how are you so smart? But yeah, she's doing really well. Her name is Harmony, and she's probably, well, the best thing that ever happened to me.
Well, she has a very smart mom, so it isn't surprising. I'm not surprised at all. So someone else also asked, you know, what I think is really creative about what you've done is that you took something that already exists. You noticed recycled metal around your community. Can you describe that process of how you thought creatively of turning this into an entrepreneurial pursuit?
I mean, we have cook stoves. The cook stoves are not a new thing, and even improved ones, we have those. And most of the ones that we have in the market in Kenya would be imported. They're made with very, very weak metal. And so when I started Mukuru, what I wanted to provide for my community was not just a stove that works, but a stove that they can easily afford. And so we needed to figure out what materials we were going to be able to build it with to ensure that we are not transferring crazy costs to our community and then it becomes a luxury product to them. Our stoves cost about $10 US, but that is still too expensive for them. And so one career that people have, especially in local slums in Kenya, is most of our fathers work in scrapyards, right? They do metal work. So you interact with a lot of this metal. We have a lot of that waste, but it never occurs to a lot of people that you can turn that into something beneficial for our community. So when we were trying to figure out how to build our stove, we stumbled on a metal barrel, and these are barrels that are brought into the country. You know, you bring in oil and paint and stuff like that, and then they're discarded away. And so we take that and we use it to build the body of a cook stove. It's one of those really super strong metal, but still, you know, thin enough for you to build the body of a stove with. But also just considering that the families we sell our cook stoves to have about 5 to 10 people living in their household at a time. So they use very large pots to cook, and they need to be able to have a strong and stable cook stove to be able to do that. And that's how, you know, that's why we decided to go with the metal barrels. And every other metal that goes into the stove is also metal that is used in construction or other things.
Well, that's fantastic. And just to chime in, and you correct me if I'm wrong here, but how Charlotte's business model works is you're making the stoves in your production factory, and then you have a network of women spread out throughout various markets who you're training and teaching how to sell them. And then they basically earn commission for their sales. Is that correct?
Yes, so we do it in two parts. First, we train local women to build the stoves themselves. So we have artisans who make the stoves, and then we work with local women business owners who sell our stoves. So we have almost 300 sales agents across about 4 counties in Kenya who sell our stoves to their target audiences.
Which is fantastic, because some of them often are selling other products, right? But this is a way that they can earn additional income selling this in-demand product that a lot of people have a desire to buy, right?
Right, yeah, some of them are tailors, most of them sell household goods, and when they bring our cook stove on board, they're able to earn about $7 extra income every week, and so that helps with other costs within their families or even growing their primary businesses.
Which is amazing. And so, you know, what you've really thought of is a method that you're not only creating jobs and using a recycled product, being very eco-friendly and mindful of the environment, but it's a product that people have that improves their lives by being able to, you know, move away from cooking over an open fire, which is another way you're really helping to protect the environment. But then you're also creating livelihoods and jobs and really increasing these communities economically, which is really powerful in itself too. And I guess another way economically is just people are saving a lot more time and money that they otherwise would be using for fuel or gathering firewood. They now can divert some of those resources into other needs, like food.
Yeah, exactly. And when you use our stove, as opposed to an inefficient stove or an open fire, you use 50% less time and about 60% less charcoal or firewood to cook. So that means you don't have to spend 3 hours searching for firewood. You can spend 1 hour, right? And that is for firewood that should be enough for a week. And so that really benefits these families, but also for the families that purchase charcoal. Every single week, they save $2 on fuel consumption costs when they use our stoves. So by the end of the year, you end up having saved almost $700 on fuel consumption costs.
Just phenomenal. I also want to make sure this is very open. If anyone has questions, please feel free to turn on your microphone and ask. I'll open it up now and see if anyone has anything they want to add. I know, you know, Nikki was able to get and see your work firsthand before we knew what COVID was, right? I think it was exactly 2 years ago.
Pretty much. We were there for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, and I know Greg hasn't seen your program, but Greg was also with me. When was that? Probably 2.5 years ago, maybe, and has seen the stove programs in Kenya. So I know there's a few people, and Erica has seen stove programs in Haiti. I think we've got a lot of people here who are really, I think, just grateful of the work that you do, and also really have seen firsthand the power of a stove, and also what it's like to live without a stove, and just how so many women are cooking every day, breathing in all of that smoke. So we are intimately just really grateful for the work that you're doing, and then the power you have to expand your program. So if there's anyone now who has a question, I would love for you to feel free to be brave and turn off your mic and ask.
I have a question. Hi, Charlotte.
Hi, Erica.
So we've heard this about your new, your second stove factory that you want to open. That's so exciting. And I was just wondering how, I'm sure there's a lot of need and a lot of opportunity, and this is such an awesome program. How did you decide where you wanted to do that, or why that area in particular? How do you decide where is a good market for it that it would work well?
I mean, building stoves, you can do that anywhere, right? But the way Mukuru's business model works, we're a social enterprise. So we have to ensure that in as much as we're distributing a poverty alleviating product, we have to create jobs, and we have to do it in areas. We have to do all of these things in the areas where we want to impact the lives of people. And so right now we're working in Western Kenya, in Siaya County. We have a factory there. We have a distribution center in the next county. So we're ensuring that the people we are distributing our stoves to are the ones who are making them, are the ones who are distributing them. And we do that in their area. And so the next place where we would go for an expansion would be Homa Bay County. A different area, same demographic as the one that we work in right now, same population, same economic standing, but we could make stoves in Siaya County and distribute it to them, but then they do not have ownership. And also just the transportation costs. Every material that we need to make these stoves would be in that location that we want to do it. And so because in 2022, we're expanding into 3 new counties, we are ensuring that the next factory that we're building is within one of those counties. The distribution center that we set up is in the next county. And so we are going to be distributing stoves for you to sell to your aunties, right? But you're the one selling it, you're the one making it, and you're the one deciding, which area we go into first. And so that is what informs, our growth plans as Mukuru Clean Stoves. We're ensuring that every time we move into a new market, we're not just bringing our products, we're bringing job creation. We're ensuring that the women in that region are also empowered.
Well, that's a great answer. And I think that might be a good segue to share with you that, our support has been supporting you for a few years. And then we, on Giving Tuesday, announced that we have this women's fund we're launching, and you're going to be one of the first 4 local organizations that we support and empower with more resources. And so we have been working hard to help all 4 of the first 4 organizations through Giving Tuesday. And we know that you've been wanting to open a second factory. You have raised, I think, $300,000 already, right? Which is pretty incredible towards your $500,000 goal.
Yes.
I think what you talked about, at least with me, is it's going to be bigger in Homa Bay than your current factory, right? So it's going to be $500,000, but it's going to create what you estimate is at least 350 jobs next year, hopefully, if you can get the money you need. And you have, can you mention real quick, I think it's not USAID, but it's the US Fund for African Development that's put in some money, which is a big deal.
Yes, so we've had US United States African USADF. So yeah, and then we have Echoing Green, so they're coming in together And then we have the Jack Ma Foundation through the Africa Business Heroes Prize that we just won recently, also coming in to give us some of the money. And then we have a previous partner, AEP Africa, who helped us with, the pilot project in Siaya County, who are also coming in to help us distribute our stoves. So we have a couple of partners. We have ARI, also funded by USADF. So we actually have 2 programs funded by USADF who are coming in to help us with the construction of the new factory. And then we are going to have to start fundraising as soon as we start production for, just buying of the materials of the new stoves, bringing in more people. But the goal for us is to provide about 100 manufacturing and factory jobs, and then 250 jobs for the local women business owners who are going to be distributing our stoves. So by that time, we will have about 300 in the other region. So in total, we're going to have about 550 sales agents by the end of 2022.
Which is amazing. And I think you said your goal is 70 to 100,000 stoves. Is that right?
Yes. So far in total, Mukuru Clean Stoves has sold over 70,000 clean cook stoves. And our goal for next year is selling about 70 to 100,000 between our 2 factories. So our first factory is at 75% capacity. By the end of 2022, we're going to reach capacity for that. And then our new factory is going to be able to enable us to distribute in that. So between 70 to 100,000 by the end of 2022, hopefully we reach the 100,000 mark. And I'm just keeping our fingers crossed and doing everything we can to ensure that we distribute that much stoves by the end of the year.
Well, that's fantastic. And, for people, most of us know, but at our organization, people are selecting where they could give to and how they could support. So we'll be calculating how much we've raised for your current operations, because I think it's important that we keep your current operations funded, and that's where your need is too. But I think a lot of us want to see you support and help open your second factory. So, we got together and we talked and we said, well, let's do everything we raise from now to the end of the year. We want to give it to Charlotte. We want to help you open your second factory. So we, to put it in perspective, last year, for people who know, nonprofits raise 10 to 20% of their revenue in like the last week of the year. Everybody figures out their tax forms and how much they can give away. So last year we had a matching gift. We raised $100,000 last year in the last week of the year. So I know Charlotte needs 200,000. We've never done that before. That would be phenomenal if we could do that and find ways that we can get more people involved and get more people committed and sharing, or either making pledges or making gifts towards the end of the year. We have set up some special links that people could give to Charlotte directly, and a special Facebook fundraiser if people want to help fund her factory. We are going to send those out after the call. I also want to add that we still have matching funds available. So we have $34,000 left in matching funds. So just getting that first match would get us to, nearly 70K if we could get that claimed, so to speak, because those are funds that are available if people could give. But I just want to say, like, your money cannot go to a better place than you, Charlotte. I'm just so grateful. And I think, even just when you stop to think about $25 helping get 6 families new stoves, like that can create enormous difference. And then you talk about how that ripples to help that family with saving, those $2 every week. It really is a transformative impact where your money just ripples and multiplies in so many different variables across the chain that you're providing. So I think we're all just so inspired by you, and I think we're honored to partner. I know we're really just honored to partner with you and want to see you be successful and help accomplish this dream of yours of opening this other factory in Homa Bay. So does anybody have any questions or ideas or ways we can help? I think we have, I see Steve clapping. Thank you, Steve, and Michael. So if anyone, after this call, we are going to, Sarah said, way to go, Charlotte. So after this call, we're going to send out links to everyone with ways that they could give. If you give monthly, to a quick update, you can allocate your gift to her factory. We're going to send out a link there where people can choose to help allocate your gift for December to support your factory. So if anyone has any questions or ideas or thoughts, I think the big thing to remember, if you on this call have the ability to give, that would be great. But I think more importantly, you know, we're trying to double what we did last year to help get Charlotte as much money possible, because she has raised 300,000. She has 200K left she needs. It sounds like a lot, but when you think about, okay, I know 5 friends or I know 10 people on Facebook, I could tag and see if they could give $25, and with a matching gift, that becomes $50. You know, it really ripples to help a lot of people, and, you know, would help tremendously help Charlotte. So thank you so much. If anyone has any questions too, I am here. So you can send an email. John, hi.
Hi, Becky. I've been having some trouble with the connection, and I was a little late getting on. My question is, you build this factory, how do you actually move the stoves out into the community? You may have said this earlier, but I didn't hear. Do you have a store? Do you sell them? Do you actually have people who go out and sell them in the community? How do you do this?
Great question.
Thank you, John. So what we do is we have a factory where we have artisans build the stoves, and then we partner with local women business owners who distribute our stoves for 10% commission for every stove they sell.
I see. Okay. And how large is the geographic area that you're working in here? Is this 1,000 square kilometers, or is it the whole country?
No, so right now we are just working in Western Kenya, so that is a quarter of the country, and that is about 20 million people within that region, and we've conquered one part of that region, and so we are moving to the next side of Western Kenya, which would have a population, if you put together 3 or 4 counties, about 7 million people living in that area. So far we've served about 350,000 people. We've sold 70,000 cook stoves, and per household there's an average of 5 people within that household that uses our stove. And so we are hoping that by the end of 2022, we would have reached about 150,000 at least households, ensuring that we are distributing our stoves to over 500,000 people who benefit from cleaner air now.
Amazing. Thank you, John, for those questions. I think that is great. Well, and again, I'm honored. I know it's the holiday season, and for people to take time to join us is really something that we're really grateful for, and especially honored to have so many of you joining and just supporting local organizations like Charlotte, because clearly she is a phenomenal leader and expert in her community, and we're just so grateful. And I'm saying this again, but we're honored to support you. You know, I think we really feel grateful for just knowing how many lives you're changing. Sorry, and I get emotional thinking about it, because it's to that widow, that is, being able to feed her kids is a phenomenal thing.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think it's been a great honor working with you too, and just being intentional about creating jobs for women, and trying to just measure that impact, like what goes where and how much this helps. And $7 a week as an increase in income for a local, woman doesn't sound like a lot, especially if you live in a developed world and maybe you earn, a lot of money. But for them, she will calculate to you, I'm going to use, $3 for more stock. I'm going to use $2 for food, for that entire week. So it just ensures that you elevate their life. Every week, something changes, something really good happens for them. And it also empowers them to empower the next person. So you've had women business owners who brought people on board to help sell these stoves in particular, because they're tailors and they cannot do both. And then there's a ripple effect there. They've created a job, for a young woman in their community. So with our partnership with the Adventure Project has really helped us ensure that as we increase our production in stoves, we ensure that we're also increasing the number of women that we're working with. So it's not just, we don't want to make profit and just sell stoves, but we ensure that for every profit that we are making, there's a woman benefiting somewhere, and in turn they benefit, their families by improving lives. So I just want to say thank you. It is, the holiday season, and there's a lot of people on this call who decided to spare their time to listen to what we do with the Adventure Project and what we're projecting to do in 2022. And I hope the next time we jump on a call, they're going to be, you know, pictures and videos of the factory. Since Nikki can't travel just yet, there's going to be beautiful stories of women who've been able to change their lives. And there's going to be Charlotte telling you she wants to build another factory yet again. That's just Charlotte for you. So thank you so much.
Well, again, we're so honored, and I think, you know, it's a great perspective of us to think, you know, we have had so many challenges around the world and challenges here, but nothing compares to the challenges that you're facing in you know, emerging markets like yours in Kenya. And so, you know, our hearts are with you. I know in Kenya you've had the highest outbreak of COVID since it started this last week, and so I know there's a lot of people who are experiencing challenges, and we're just so grateful that you're taking time to spend with us, and just for the work that you're doing to help save lives. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone.
Hope everyone has a wonderful day. Thank you so much. And look for my email. I'm going to send it out shortly. We would love your help sharing and supporting and helping Charlotte get her factory funded.
Thank you so much. I hope you guys have happy holidays and happy new year too. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.